You're tuned in to Shake, Rattle, and Goal, the official podcast of your Springfield Thunderbirds.
Pekka's there on the backhand, scoring the save, rebound in the crease, they score!
Hosted by Matt Baker and Steve Forney. A show that's everything Springfield hockey, with interviews including players, coaches, and staff.
The Springfield Indians repeat as the Calder Cup champions.
Listen to this podcast on all major streaming platforms and wherever you download podcasts.
In his first year at the helm, Kevin McDonald and Drew Bannister have the TBirds in the Calder Cup Finals.
Watch the podcast on the official Shake, Rattle, and Goal YouTube page at SRG Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker and Steve Forney. And this episode number 9 of season 3 of the Shake, Rattle, and Goal podcast is proudly brought to you by our friends at MassCon United Training Center in Agawam. They are at mcutrainingcenter.com. By our friends at the TDS Center for Communication and Social Learning. Visit them at tdsspeech.com. And by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. Promo code SRG20 gets you 20% off your fertilization for the entire year of 2026. Alongside Matt Baker, I am Steve Forney. Matt, how are you, my friend?
Doing well. I got my new office. Right?
Nice.
So those of you who are keeping up with the life and times of Matt Baker, we're kind of done with the flood from the basement, and that forced me to get my office done downstairs, move Jake into his own room upstairs. So
He's got to be pumped.
He is. That they're upstairs right now, finishing putting his room together, and I'm here in my new office. I got my signage in the back. I'll try to rotate this out. So we're good. Hopefully the internet holds up down here.
So far, so good. Far, so good. So yeah, glad we could do this. It is Tuesday, and it's kind of funny because like I always want to do the record on Monday because it's fresher for the games of the weekend, but also it's easier for me gives me more time to edit for release on Wednesday. The problem that we're having is that news keeps dropping on Tuesdays.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, you cut Lucic on a Tuesday. Well, we just talked about him in the episode Monday, and now we're releasing it Wednesday. So here we are Tuesday, and what a news day we have here. So let's, I guess, start off. Why don't we start off in St. Louis and work our way down?
Sure.
As Jimmy Snuggerud, it was announced that he is having surgery on his wrist. He's going to be reevaluated in, I believe, 4 weeks. Toropchenko with a at-home injury that we're not sure of. Those Thanksgiving weekends breaks can get a little out of hand, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't have any information on that.
I don't have any real information. I have speculation. I'm not going to report on that. Not my team I'm covering, but I mean, you do the math. Thanksgiving holiday, burnt legs,
grease,
grease fires, grease, turkey fires. I don't know. It's an American holiday too, so I don't think, and I don't think Russians have much experience. I don't want to speculate.
Fair enough.
I don't want to
either. I don't either. So he's going to miss some time.
Yeah.
And then I didn't see much about it, but you did. That Nathan Walker. There's something going on with Nathan Walker as well.
Upper body injury, placed on IR to be reevaluated in 8 weeks.
Ooh.
So not good. My immediate thought, how this impacts Springfield. Nathan Walker is a fourth line, fourth line guy. We've always sort of compared a Hugh McGing to the style of play of a Nathan Walker. I'm not sure. McGing, he had his rookie lap and call up a few years ago. So I don't know, new coach, if he'd be looking. I don't know. But, Kaskamaki did get called up yesterday or Monday, I think Monday morning, after the news of Snuggerud and Toropchenko. So now you're down 3 up in St. Louis, -1. I don't know what that means. I do wonder if, and sorry, Steve, I'm jumping all over the place.
No. Go. You're good.
The other big news was the trade of Nikki to the Kings, Akil Thomas coming here to Springfield. We're going to get into that in more detail in a minute, but I do wonder how much the injuries and then non-call-up of Nikki if that played a part, there were rumblings that I had heard even in the preseason of, this was Nikita Alexandrov's final year of his contract. He was one of the, the term the Black Aces that was called up for the playoff run of St. Louis last year. But he had a great year last year. Nikki did. Kind of statistically, right? Had a great year. And so not really getting another look this year. And again, I had heard rumblings of a little bit unhappy with the situation. So the timing of it is interesting. I'm just wondering if, his not being called up was sort of the, hey, look, if you're not going to use me, trade me kind of thing. And which I guess is a fair, if you're a player with still big club aspirations and you're just, hey man, you didn't make the cut, I all right, then send me to a team that I might be able to make the cut for. I get that. Your take?
I'm going to get into how I feel about it because I'm over the moon.
Sure.
I think the Blues. So this is now 2 trades where I think, and I've heard this from other people too, Matt, not just you, where it's, well, the player wanted out.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the player's call. The player can want out. It doesn't mean you get rid of them. I mean, did they do a nice thing to Sam to get a bag of pucks back? Sure, maybe. By the way, 4 points in 9 games on the third line for Sam Bitten and Hershey.
Good for you.
But it looks to me like the Blues would rather call up Akil Thomas than call up Nikita Alexandrov.
Right.
I mean, that's how they feel about that particular player. And I don't blame them. I've been waiting for this day for a while. I've been sitting on this podcast trying to bite my tongue. I've been talking about how I don't want to lose my job. I've been biting my tongue about how I feel about this particular player. And if you're going to skate around at 75 to 80%, avoid contact, not back check, not do anything in the neutral zone to help your team defensively, he gets a secondary assist every other night that has nothing to do with the actual goal. He got another one over the weekend in the Bridgeport game in Springfield he did nothing. It was all, I think, Pekarchik's goal. Great pass across where he kicked it. Remember, he kicked it 1 foot to the other foot and scored a gorgeous goal that had nothing to do with Nikita Alexandrov. But yay, there he is on the score sheet. So he just goes out, skates around for 60 minutes at 70%, gets an assist, calls it a day. Why would he deserve a call up? Like, what about his play makes you got to earn it, dude? And I think that he's been floating around for a year and a half. He does. He puts up points. It's great. I'm thrilled. He doesn't impact the game. He doesn't impact the game unless he's getting a goal and an assist. He's one of the least impactful players on the Thunderbirds roster for a year and a half, including the irony of the fact that his last shot attempt was that disgusting thing in the shootout where he couldn't even control the puck, and then it doesn't even get a shot to lose the game in Bridgeport. Like, that is just the most Nikita Alexandrov thing ever. So for me, arrivederci. I'm very excited for Akil Thomas. Again, sort of the same player in terms of their age. Got called up, got sent down, but he's got more grit. He's got more grind. He's fast. He's in your face. He's going to have a little bit more of that bite to him, that McEachern Walker sort of bite that Nikita Alexandrov clearly lacks. And so to me, I think I'm not expecting Akil Thomas to score 40 goals or even maybe have the same point production as Alexandrov. It's the intangibles to me that are what I'm going to be impressed with, hopefully, that I was not seeing from Alexandrov. And I just see ya, pal.
Yeah. Listen, I agree with pretty much all of what you're saying. And especially the eye test on the ice. You saw a player that you wanted to have all the success in the world for, and like you had all this hope for this prospect. Nikita Alexandrov drafted, I think, a second round player. So was Akil Thomas. And after the Calder Cup run, he had his time up there not really playing much. He would crack into the fourth line every once in a while, but not really solidifying his role there. The only thing where not really pushback, but just defend a player a little bit. I do think you're right. A player can ask for a trade in any professional sport. It doesn't mean they're going to get it. And I think for teams, you're sometimes better off if you have a disgruntled player looking for that trade to get them out, but only if it also helps you, right?
Right.
I would not. Nikita Alexandrov is too good of a player to just future considerations kind of thing for.
Right.
I think any player is, to be honest, because I don't even know what that means. But I do think there's something to be said for, and maybe I have no idea. I have never watched Akil Thomas play other than looking him up this afternoon and watching some highlights and things like that. So I'm excited about this play, but there is something to be said for fresh starts are good for people. And it's sometimes I could imagine as a fan, I'm not happy about it because I want all of the players of the team I'm rooting for. I don't care what your situation is. I want you giving 100% all the time. And I do agree with you. Too often, I did not see 100% Nikita Alexandrov. Is that fair or unfair? I don't know, but that's just what I saw, right? Too often, I didn't see what I wanted to see out of Nikita Alexandrov. And is that a player that's checked out, that is feeling, why am I going to risk injury? Why am I going to do this if this team isn't even going to give me the chance? Again, not my attitude, because force them to make that call up. Your play, no, and I tell this to my youth kids, right? No coach at any level is going to look at a player and say, you give me the best chance to win, but I don't like your name, so I'm not going to play you. No coach is going to do that. So make it impossible for them not to call you up based on your play. Mm-hmm. And if you are disgruntled, that's on you. Like, in my opinion, and call me old school, why should I give you a chance to come up? Like, what? No, like, play the game. And so, I think this can just be a fresh start for Nikita Alexandrov. See you on the West Coast. And for Akil Thomas, welcome to Springfield. Mm-hmm. Excited to watch him play. I think he can fit right in. I think he can fit in top six forward, no doubt. I think he plays a little bit more center than, and a little, again, I'm not an Akil Thomas expert here. I've just been reading him up and watching some highlights this afternoon, but it looks like he plays center and is a little bit more effective at center than Nikita Alexandrov was. So does he slide into that number 2 line, number 3 line center? Maybe. I think it's fair to say this week, we'll get into the games in a minute, Coach Konowalchuk maybe has found some nice pairings and some good line mates for players, but it's not like the Thunderbirds have been consistent all season long with lines. So you're worried about how is Akil Thomas going to fit in. Everybody's just been jumbled and mushed in together. So yeah, he'll fit in with that just fine.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of, and again, it's not even like they need the help on special teams because they're actually crushing it really right now. But yeah, he'll kill penalties. He'll be on the power play. He's going to play anywhere in the lineup. I don't know. I remember this kid's name. He scored a big goal for Team Canada in like the World Juniors in like 2020 or something. Like won the whole tournament for Team Canada, and I remember just that name. I'm kind of excited just because it's like West Coast, like Western Conference, Eastern Conference, like play different styles of hockey.
They do, yeah.
And so I'm curious to see what his play style looks like. It always seems to be a little bit faster, a little bit more run and gun out west, which is easy, in the NHL when you got Kyle Connor and Connor McDavid and Connor Bedard and anybody else named Connor who's fast. So you have that element to it, but he's also got a little bit of sandpaper. So I want to see what it looks like. I want to see, like, if you put him with a Dylan Peterson, like what that could look like. That just sounds like a match made in heaven for those two guys. So we'll see this weekend. I'm just glad that I'm glad that the GM is sort of keep monitoring this and keeping his eye on it. I don't think he's looking at it and being like, well, this is kind of a lost season, so like whatever. Like he's trying. Like we're bringing in Milan Lucic, we're making trades. Like there's things that are being done to the Cali Rosen deal. Like there's stuff that's being done to try to make this team better. The effort is being done by the front office, and so that I'm excited about. That just in general, even if it doesn't end up well, it's not like we can look at the GM and say, well, they're not doing anything because they have been. So
and
that's
no, I agree with you. And I was just gonna say, like the type of player again, and doing a little bit of research on Akil Thomas. This is a player who has, for the past 2 seasons, had a little NHL experience. 25 games last year for the LA Kings. 2 years ago, just 7 for the Kings. But he's also a player, and I don't know. To me, this is not important, but telling. He's a player that's worn the A and worn the C for his teams. So, we talk about a little bit of a potential negative attitude kind of guy in a locker room. Doesn't seem like the type of character guy that Akil Thomas is. It doesn't mean people can change over time, right? But I think you're going to get a player who is a leader. Like I said, he wore the A last year for the Ontario Reign. He back in 2020 for the Niagara Ice Dogs. Sounds cool. He wore the C. So, he is a leader. He is a leader. He's going to bring the grit. He's going to bring that tough nose style play. His last kind of full clip in the AHL, 46 points is a +3 in 64 games. So, like, I'll take that. Is a grinder, someone who's going to work, like you said, someone who's going to back check, someone who's going to forecheck for you, and it's not going to feel like you're playing a 5-on-4 power play when you have someone out there just taking up space, which is kind of how things had been.
Yes, they had been,
right?
And like all the things you were saying too about Alexandrov and like force their hand to call you up. If you're Akil Thomas, you want to get back in the NHL too.
Yeah.
And maybe it wasn't working out in LA. Maybe there was a little bit of that sort of same treatment that Alexandrov had here, call it whatever you want to call it. But maybe he's looking at it like, wow, they have how many guys are injured up there?
Right.
Like, whoa. So you're telling me I could come here and, play really well for a 4 or 5 game stretch, and then boom, I'm back in the NHL. So
100%.
That's the mentality I'm looking for down here. I would love good players to stay here forever, of course. But the goal, the objective is the next level. And if Akil Thomas comes in here with that mindset that you were talking about, where if I come down here and bust, I'm going to force their hand. They're going to have to call me up and they're going to have to play me.
Agreed.
And if he comes in with that mindset, it's going to be an absolute home run. No matter how long it lasts here in Springfield, it's going to be a home run.
Yeah. So. And look, I mean, he's a round 2 draft pick, 51 overall back in 2018. So talent is there. Skill set is there. NHL prospect is there. And so I 100% agree with you. And we've seen it before. Josh Levo a few years ago, like, sure, play 3 games down here and just dominate. Just light it up. Make it impossible for them to not call you up and say, sure, we'll give you a shot on our 4th line. Nathan Walker's out 8 weeks. And that's what you need. And that attitude is contagious, as is negative energy, right? Like I believe that. So all that stuff is contagious. It rubs off on people. And so this is a trade I always enjoyed, most of the time enjoyed Nikita Alexandrov, cheering for him. But I am excited to see Akil Thomas here in the 4-1-3 as early as this weekend.
I could talk about Nikita Alexandrov literally for days of the frustrations. If you ever want to hear somebody complain, just ask me how I feel about him, which we're not going to waste the time here doing, because we do have a lot of stuff to get to. We do, speaking of Nikki, we have our poll that you guys all responded to. So we're going to give you the results of that. We have games to look forward to, coming up as well, including the teddy bear toss. But like, it's almost like we're 20 minutes in here. We're glossing over. We buried the lead that this team won 2 out of 3. They lost in a shootout. They've taken do my math, 5 out of 6 points, something like that. Like at 7 out of 8 going back. I think even a game before that, right? They were on a 4-game heater. So
Yep.
You mentioned earlier that they're starting to find lines and combinations and decombinations. It does seem like there's some sort of gelling happening, sort of up and down the roster, and it's for me, I watched the game before and the game after Thanksgiving, but my biggest takeaway from the game in Springfield was there were guys on the team frustrated that didn't have great days. Matthew Pekka did not have a day on Sunday, and he was very frustrated. I've never seen the guy try to slam his stick and break it. He was trying to do that on the bench. He was very upset. But yet you still had Matt Luff showing out. Yuri Pekarchik showing out. You had other guys stepping up, and that to me was one of the biggest things in the last 3 games was balance. Just balance of who's contributing, who's making plays in their own zone, who's sticking up for teammates. It was just a very balanced 3 games from Springfield, which is something we haven't seen consistently all season, and here it is.
I agree, and goaltending also I thought was phenomenal. It starts with Wednesday at Hartford. Romanov gets the victory, giving up 3 goals, and then for me, what was nice to see, and we talked about this earlier in the season. Friday night at Bridgeport, you go down early, 3-0, and
goodness,
looks a bit leaky. And what was happening in November was, well, then that would turn into literally a 6-1 loss to the Bridgeport,
7-2, yeah,
7-3 loss, a 6-2 loss, right? Like the floodgates would just open, and you would see a team, again, negative energy, that negative vibe being contagious of, well, here we go, and then you're giving up. But no, the team showed grit, fought back to score 6 unanswered goals. You can't score unanswered goals without solid goaltending. I thought Zarenko shut the chapter on the early start to the first period and just was awesome the rest of the game. Were there things in these over those 2 games, both 6-3 victories, where you're like giving up a lot of shots here, sketchy second period? Fine. They overcame it. And at the end of the day, it's about getting the W, especially when you're a struggling team. And the wins are few and far between. Take them how you get them, right? So I can't complain about how you got them. You got them. And, and then to follow it up Saturday for the Hockey Fights Cancer Night, the alternative jerseys released. Do you want to talk about that? They get the 3-2 loss in overtime. But again, solid play. And we talked about this too. For me, I can stomach a loss. I can stomach even, a 3-1 loss in Wilkes-Barre. They're lights out right now. It's the 7-3 loss, the 6-1 loss, like those games where you're watching them and you can tell the team isn't caring. That as a fan, that's hard for me to stomach because I care so much. So hard work on the ice the past 2 weeks has been, in my opinion, has been glaring. That's the improvement that I've been wanting to see, and it makes me excited. The losses are going to happen, but you sprinkle in a few wins there, and we really are going into that Saturday game. You and I were talking about this in our text exchange. Like, hey, if Springfield wins in regulation, they're in a playoff spot, and you're like, whoa, okay. Like, so it's not that hard. Calder Cup, playoff run in the cards, not right now, but sprinkle in some wins there, play competitive games, lose competitively, if that makes sense. And I'm happy. I'm good, and so this was a very positive 2-week stretch for this team. Hopefully they can get some overtime. This team for the past 2.5 years, shutouts have been dreadful to watch. Oof. My gosh.
Well, the 2 goals Bridgeport scored in the shootout were pretty awesome. And Matt Luff's goal on the Walrus there, Tikkanen, 6'8", 222. That was pretty good too, because I mean it's a shootout. How do you get it past a guy that size?
Yeah,
And his move was filthy. So I don't even really necessarily blame the goaltending in Springfield or the shooting necessarily, because the guys, well, except Nikki's, good lord.
Well,
But
he didn't get a shot, so that's
he didn't get the actual shots. That guy was just absolutely huge. But
yeah.
I think it's interesting. You talked about, like, to me, the biggest difference between the last week and prior is compounding. And, you make a mistake. Does it compound into 2 or 3? Or are you able to get over it? And it goes the other way too. You make a really nice play. You score a sweet goal. Do you compound that? Do you double down and now you're going to score another one? Now, right? Like, we've seen them give up like 2 or 3 goals in like a 30-second stretch earlier in the season, right? So like
the 3 minutes, right? That's what we talked about last week. Yes.
Right. And I'm going to want to get into that too, because I think they're listening to the podcast based on some things that they did. But they've been compounding the good, and the bad they've been able to kind of suppress and move past.
Right.
And despite the 3-0 hole that they dug themselves in Bridgeport, even still, like you said, that didn't turn into 8. They were able to stop the bleeding and flip it around. And that to me is huge. And yeah, you talked about the first 3 minutes, last 3 minutes, right? All those kind of things that we talked about. Hartford, first period, goal, minute 29 in. Second period, goal, a minute 36 in. A couple of they got the capper in the third from Callie Rosen. Just over 3 minutes left in the period. So like, they were doing these kind of things that we were mentioning. Pekka scored at the 15:35 mark of the first period. That's like 4-ish on the clock left. So like, they were doing all those things that we were kind of talking about, those vulnerable minutes, those vulnerable times. A couple times it's also blurry. Thanksgiving made everything blurry, as it tends to do. But there were times where they would kill a penalty, and then it was, okay, you still got to get the puck out. You got to get it out. They're still pressuring. And then, boom, you get the puck out and you get a change. Not what had been happening earlier, which is, boom, now you give up a goal. And, now the power play was for nothing. So the compounding to me was big. And then also just the ability to capitalize on those crucial times. And that's what happens. Like, when you give those up, you lose. When you score, you win. Like that, it's not to be overlooked. So I thought it was a great weekend. There was some good, some bad. They got horribly outshot in some of those games, some of those periods, just pockets of some of those games where they just got kind of put over a barrel, but they never gave up. They never stopped. They never stopped going at it. And I think that's what we need to see more of looking forward. The goaltending was great. I think, like you said, they're starting to find something, and it's about time. It's December, but I think it's starting to happen. So.
Yeah. Yes. It's better product, right? Better hockey. And again, the losses are going to happen, but there's too much talent on the team to see consecutive weekends of, 7-1 loss.
Right.
And we're going to put that behind us. No more talking to that. And the team is shaping up. I like what I'm seeing. Chris Wagner getting hot.
Your guy had a
two
nice
goals the other
weekend.
day. Had the shorty. I think Friday had the shorty.
Yeah, Friday.
So, talk about, again, another skilled, talented guy. You're just waiting. Come on, what's going on? And so it's good to see. And, if the young guys, Pekarchi, can come up.
I thought he was exceptional this weekend.
I thought he was great. I wouldn't be surprised. We kind of started talking about this at the beginning of the show and then kind of went away from it with is another guy being called up. You mentioned, I think, is he ready? No, but does Montgomery just want to take a peek at Pekarchi and see what you got? Maybe. I don't know. I think he took a nice long look at Stenberg in the preseason. He hasn't really.
He's got to get it back. He's got to get his mojo back.
Yeah, right. He hasn't really continued to develop and progress to start the season. But again, nobody really has. But Pekarchi has been a bright spot this year. He reminds me of like that Dylan Peterson spark of last year has been Uri Pekarchi. So Does Montgomery want to take a little peek at that guy? Who knows? But he had a great weekend. So it's all good. It's all positive. And honestly, this is the first show in a while that we've been like and
nothing to complain
deserves
about.
it. And right. I mean, and it's because of their play and what we're seeing on the ice.
I was ready to come on and complain about Nikita Alexandrov, and I don't even have to. I don't even have to do that.
Don't even.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
So we are going to go over the results of our poll. We are going to get into the poll for this week for our favorite 10-year anniversary T-Bird. But first, I want to mention our friends at the TDS Center for Communication and Social Learning, located in the center of Amherst. Founder and owner Teresa Dooley-Smith, along with her husband Brian, have spent their professional lives dedicated to the children and young adults of Western Mass since 1996. The TDS staff are proud to offer a variety of therapeutic interventions, direct family supports, consultation services. They kind of do it all. So make sure that you check them out if you do need more help. They offer a variety of individual, small, or big group sessions to fit the needs of each individual. For more information, you can go to tdsspeech.com. You can call them at 413-835-0735 by our friends at MassCon United Training Center in Agawam. From beginners to pro, MCU Training Center is a one-stop shop to improve your game with the top local trainers and their knowledge, skills, and training to develop programs that will make you a better player no matter your skill level or sport. Their small player to coach ratio clinics allow them to focus on individual athletes' needs. They're right at 153 Springfield Street in Agawam, right in the plaza where the still used to be, right over the bridge from the Big E. Dave's Soda in Pet City. That's what everybody thinks about when they're over there. That place is gone now too. But MCU Training Center is not. MCUtrainingscenter.com. And by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. Folks, you have 20-something days and counting because you need to get on Rob's list for Landscaping That Fits for the 2026 season. Because for the rest of this month, if you go to the website, landscapingthatfits.com, you put in the promo code SRG20, you will get 20% off of your fertilization treatments for the entire year of 2026. I can tell you from experience, as a customer, my lawn has looked better this year than it ever has. And I'm convinced it's because I took it upon myself to get a professional involved in Rob and just made my entire lawn sparkling. You know what he said to me? I said, Rob, I got to thank you, man. It's so great. I saw him at the game. He said, Steve, it's a partnership. Because if you don't take care of your lawn, then it doesn't matter what I do. So you keep mowing and you keep weed whacking and watering and you keep taking care of it. It's a partnership. I'm like, I love you, man. Thanks. So landscapingthatfits.com. Trust me, it's worth it. Promo code SRG20. Now, I've tried to do some math for our poll, and that's just a bad way.
It's hard.
But I do have the results. If anybody, I don't know if Matt grabbed them, but I do have them here. On Facebook, Matthew Pekka versus Nikita Alexandrov. Matthew Pekka received 87 votes as the favorite. Nikita Alexandrov received 27. That is a 76 to 23% difference. On Instagram, it was 83-17 Pekka. There were only 12 votes on there. And then on Spotify, it was a 50-50, but there were literally 2 votes. So we're going to give this one to Matthew Pekka. Congratulations. Moving on to the next round. Matt, something weird. You nerdy algorithm people out there that you're always into the computers and the AI stuff. It said 57% of the Facebook votes were by people who don't follow our page.
So follow the page, people.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Give us a follow. Tell your friends. It was just kind of weird to me. I was like, why would you see the poll and not hit that little like button? So feel free to give us a like. And again, our TikTok's doing pretty well too. So feel free to check us out on there as well. But yes,
absolutely.
Congratulations to Matthew Pekka and Matt for our next matchup for this week.
I'm going to tell you in half a second. I do just a little housekeeping stuff. Make sure it's very hard. And there were some folks who commented. I'm going to do a post for each matchup and do the poll. If you comment on the post, it's hard to calculate that. And then it's time consuming for us to go through and count and tally. So you listen, comment. We love to hear why, if you want to explain what you're doing, but go to the poll, find the poll and vote that way. It's just easier for us to calculate and easier for us to keep it on the up and up. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to stay on the same side of the bracket and drop down 1. So this will next week create our first quarterfinal matchup, and then we're going to move over to the other side of the bracket and do the first 2 matchups for the defense and goalies. Sounds like a bunch of gibberish. It makes sense to us. Trust us.
Yes.
We'll get you there. So this same side of the bracket is our 3-6 matchup. Our number 3 seeding is Dryden Hunt against number 6 Mackenzie McEachern. So here's some stats for Dryden Hunt. And to be fair, right, a little bit before my time here as a Springfield fan, but 214 games played for Dryden Hunt across 4 years, 72 goals, 78 assists. That's a total of 150 total points, averaging a 0.7 points per game for your man, Dryden Hunt. Our number 6 seed, Mackenzie McEachern, 121 goals played, 30 goals, 46 assists. That is 76 total points. That accumulates at 0.63 points per game over his 3 years with the T-Birds. So that's just numbers. But Steve, as you alluded to with former Thunderbird Nikita Alexandrov, it's more than just these numbers. So do you want to talk a little bit about a Dryden Hunt?
Yeah. So what makes this an interesting matchup for me is that one guy was way more productive on the score sheet in Dryden Hunt. One guy I think was a little bit more of a fan favorite and was a little bit more rough and tumble in McEachern. McEachern's numbers are low because he did have a lot of injuries when he was here. I mean, especially last season, 2 seasons ago, he missed a pretty big chunk of time. But Huntsy was, and again, I think he's still in the Calgary organization, and I don't know if he's AHL or NHL at the moment, but super nice kid. Again, I have biases sometimes because I interviewed him. He came to my studio, super awesome kid. We had a great conversation. And he's always had a smile on his face, and the ladies thought it was cute. So that helped too. But just a pro's pro, a good kid, tried hard, played hard. There wasn't a lot of bright spots on that team. I think for a while he was actually playing on a line with Owen Tippett, who is now with Philly, I believe. So they had a lot of good young talent on those teams, and he was just one of those bright spots that really stuck out and shined. And I think the people really liked him. And again, always smiling. So super nice guy. And then McEachern, sort of the same thing. How many times were McEachern at public appearances and doing things? And I always thought he was one of the more savvy players. I will never forget that game where he kept nudging the guy at the faceoff circle, and the guy finally had enough and slew-footed him, and he drew the penalty. Like, that was just like my favorite Mackenzie McEachern moment. It's that. Yeah. So just savvy, smart. And I think, let's keep going back to it, but I think he kind of gets stuck in Alexandrov land there for a little while.
Yeah.
Where they didn't call him up, but they probably could have. And he played hard. He just was kind of a tweener there in no man's land. Gaudette, Verana, like there's always been these kind of tweeners. And so he kind of fell into that, unfortunately. And I think that's why he decided to go a different route this season. And I don't blame him. I wish him nothing but the best. So, Dryden Hunt, Mackenzie McEachern, two different eras. In fact, 2 different parent clubs, because we were still with Florida back then. So this will be interesting to see how this one swings.
Yeah, I like this matchup, and again, a little bit bias for McEachern here, but just sort of the intangibles that he would bring to the ice, like you mentioned, that savvy veteran. Rest not looking. I'm going to poke you a little bit, and oh, there you go, and then he draws the slew footing penalty. That was great.
That was awesome.
But And it's not just 2 different eras, but you're talking about players, 2 different stages of their careers, where I think Mackenzie McEachern, he had the A, and he was seen as that sort of leader. He was, and I mean no disrespect when I say this, but you're the veteran statesman, right? You're the elder statesman sort of in the AHL, and by no means is he an old guy, but in AHL standards, he's the old guy. Dryden Hunt coming in as the young guy. And looking to make his mark, looking to spark his career, where you're Mackenzie McEachern and you're trying to hang on. And he had a nice little stint with the Blues that one season after the Calder Cup run. I believe it was McEachern, Walker, and Rosen were kind of the three guys after the Calder Cup run that spent a year in St. Louis and, spotty ice time here and there. They clear waivers and they come back, and it's Rosen and McEachern and Walker for a little while, and then Walker gets his call back up to the Blues and never comes back. And sort of McEachern, he had a few little stints after that, but nothing significant. But this will be a fun matchup because, again, two different eras, two different players in different times of their careers here with the Thunderbirds. So look for this poll by the time this episode releases. Shortly after the release of the episode, you'll see a post and a poll. Please vote on the poll for number 3 seed Dryden Hunt or number 6 seed Mackenzie McEachern.
Love it. All right. And I'm still enjoying this. Like I said, I'm really curious to see how this one goes.
This is interesting. I kind of had a feeling. I knew how our first matchup would go. Not surprised by the outcome. This one, I don't know.
I don't either. What is a 1 seed versus an 8 seed? So that you kind of expect that a little bit. But I'm wondering how many people, because I think the Blues and the Calder Cup run really did bring a lot new fans.
Sure.
And so a lot of folks might
one
not
of them.
just remember the Dryden Hunt era, which is fine. So we'll see how it goes. He's got currently 16 points in 15 games for the Calgary Wranglers. So he's still out there kicking it in the West. So good dude. And that'll be fun. And again, check our Facebook, check our Instagram. It'll also be up on the Spotify episode. So if you're listening on Spotify, you just keep scrolling down. The poll's going to be right there too. So if you want to do it there, you can do it there as well. Taking a look forward here. By the way, I was just looking it up. Akil Thomas is already accumulated enough points to be second on the team in scoring on the Thunderbirds. So you get out a guy who has 14 in points in 18 games. You get a guy who's got 13 and 19. So let's hope the personalities are what really makes the difference.
That's the key. And I'm optimistic about it.
Friday we have they got a 3-3 this week.
Yeah, big
and it is a big one because Friday we're at Hartford, a team that is really struggling, a team that you've proven you can beat. I don't think they like seeing you come to town in Hartford. So Friday night, 7:00. I should go to that game. I really should. I don't know what I got going on, but anyway, that'll be at People's Bank Arena in Hartford. And then Saturday, big one against Providence, the Teddy Bear Toss. It's presented by Teddy Bear Pools and Spas. You can throw new stuffed animals on the ice when we score our first goal. There's also the jersey giveaway for the first 2,500 fans. And there will be, it says post-game specialty jersey auction. I will admit that I don't know if that's going to be the case. I was told that we're probably not going to do the auction post game, but I'm not positive. Keep to the Thunderbirds social media because I haven't been told one way or the other. I got my kids are coming to the game. My wife's coming to the game. I usually do the auction, and I'm like, well, I need to know because otherwise we're taking 2 cars, and it's a whole thing. So
yeah,
they'll have to figure that out. I think they want to maybe wear the jerseys for a couple more games during the holiday season would be my guess. So they're not ready to auction. They will eventually, but they just want to get maybe a couple more games out of the jersey. That's just my guess. Mm-hmm. Real quick, speaking of the jerseys, your thoughts on the third jerseys?
I don't know. Listen, I don't like to criticize. I think the design department or the creative design department is phenomenal. Like, I think they are top notch. So I will be honest, though. Not my cup of tea. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the red helmets. I don't know if it's the red at the end of the sleeve and then at the end of the sock. It just, I don't know. I was kind of hoping, and I'm going to throw this out there to the podcast universe. And if there ever is another opportunity to create alternative jerseys for the Thunderbirds, do you remember back in the 90s, the St. Louis Blues had the red. It was like cut in half, red on top, blue on the bottom, with yellow stripes across the middle.
It was like the Wayne Gretzky Brett Hull Blues.
Yes.
Yep.
I was so hoping that take those sweaters and put the Thunderbird where the blue note was. I thought that would have been cool. Like put your little spin on it, Thunderbirds, but like to incorporate our colors. All the gray. I loved the gray with pink in the rink night. Loved the gray on the Falcons night. Just not a fan of all this gray with the red and the blue. So sorry. No disrespect. You guys do a wonderful job. These ones just weren't for me. That's my personal.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of gray. I think that white on a white ice is kind of silly. I think that more teams their away jerseys should be like have a little bit of a gray to it. And I do think gray pops when you have a brighter color. So like I always love the combination of like gray and like lime green. And that lime green, the gray helps the lime green, and it kind of pops. I think the thing was the helmets. I think if you go with the dark blue helmets would look a lot better. The red kind of made it kind of wonkish, but the jersey itself grew on me as the game went on. As I'm watching from my spot, they first came out and I was like, why are they wearing pajamas? And then as it went on, I was like, you know what? These are actually kind of sharp. I kind of like them. Yeah. I like the layout of them. I don't mind the color scheme. I think that the having the fighter jet logo on the side and then having the other blue note on the side, they're kind of all over the place, but whatever. Yeah. I think they're sharp, and anything's better than those red ones. I wasn't a fan of the red home jerseys that we had. Once we were done with Florida, I was like, we got to get rid of these.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they made that switch. The whites and the blue are so crisp. So I'm all right throwing these in the mix, and it's going to be hard to the blue jersey that they currently made, their away jersey, to me is the best one that they have.
Love it. Yeah.
And so you can't beat a third jersey that's that good. You know what I mean? So this is what's going to be next, and I'm all right with it. I'm
cool with it. That's fair.
I'm all right with it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so to head back into this 3-3, let's start with this Hartford game. I think it's for the first time in the season, you have the Thunderbirds are that carrying the team momentum heading up. Hartford's coming down a little bit, and jump on them early and often, right? I don't know. The Rangers too. Because I pay attention to the Rangers, and their call up, send down is crazy. It seems like every day I'm seeing across social media is like, oh, Rangers recall this player, send this player back down. So I honestly have no idea what their roster is going to look like on Friday. I have no idea who's going to be in goal for them on Friday. I really don't. I did see Quick, I think, was injured at one point, but I don't, or was he, maybe it was a suspension or something like that. I don't know how long he's going to be out with the Rangers. But this is a game that, to me, it's as close to a must win for not a playoff team as you can have at this point in the season, because I do think looking ahead to Saturday and Sunday, 2 games against Providence, you're crazy if you think 4 points are in the cards there. I'm just going to be like, can it happen? Sure. Do I want it to happen? Absolutely. But I can't bank on that. You've got to get the points against Hartford. And then you can show up or you're home Saturday with a little bit of swag. Teddy bear toss night. You want to get that goal early. And then who knows what can happen, right? That's how teams kind of change. That's, in my opinion, I was watching the Patriots and the Giants game last night. And to me, look, I'm not even mad. But the difference to me is the swag, the confidence that the Patriots have that the Giants just don't. The Giants expect to lose. They're pitiful. They're a sorry organization right now. They've been for a few years. The Patriots turned it around, and they have swag. You look at how hard they're hitting. So I mean, real quick, the hit that they put on Jackson Dart, and then the guy on the Giants went after the Patriots player. Stupid. I've never seen the self-control of Christian Ellis and the Patriots for just walking out with his hands up there like, I'm not fighting. I'm not throwing punches. Nope. You want to punch me? Fine, but I'm not going to. And it worked to their advantage. They got the penalty. And smart team doing smart things, and the dumb team doing dumb things. And so, like, obviously this isn't a football podcast, but when you're Ellis and you can do that because you have swag and confidence, that was a legal hit. What do you want me to do? I just hit him hard.
Right.
And that was, I'm a Giants fan and I saw it live and I'm at my friend's house and I'm like, what are you fighting for?
Right.
Don't push him. You're mad because he hit him legally? How about you catch a pass instead of dropping a touchdown pass, you bloke? But whatever. So to, again, transfer that back to on the ice, if you're the Thunderbirds, you win on Friday. That's the must win. You have to, and the weekend's not over. If you lose, sure, you can come back and you can win a game against Providence. Absolutely. But you've got to win that game Friday. Carry that into Saturday where you're at home. Fans are going to be rowdy. It's going to be a packed house. Teddy bear toss. You're hungry for that first goal. Adult jersey giveaway. So a rowdy crowd, right? And then now who knows? But you got to start playing with that confidence and that swag. And again, you're not watching the same games I am if you think at the moment, as we speak right now, Providence at the top, Thunderbirds are at the bottom, right? Like there's a discrepancy there in the standings. You got to start chipping away at these teams ahead of you. And real quick, I wanted to say this earlier. Fans, awesome job in Hartford.
Oh yeah,
the
takeover game on Wednesday. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic! You guys were loud. We could hear you. We can hear the cowbell on AHL TV and sticking around for the 3 stars. We hear you. Awesome job, fans.
So do the
Great
players.
Job. And the players do too. 100%. The players do too. So awesome job. And then you're heading into the third game. Sunday at 3. Providence is just as tired as you. I don't make excuses. They're just as tired as you. We got, I really am excited to see Susiev. I would imagine to see him this weekend. I just checked again while you were talking. He's not on the injury report. So like, I would expect to see him in a 3-3. I want to see what he can do. I want to see what this Akil Thomas can do. Peterson's healthy. Other than Anthony Kerr, who is out for the season, the injury report is clean. So, I would expect to see some hard play on Sunday. And who knows, if you go into Sunday's match in Providence, you beat Hartford, you pull out the win on Teddy Bear Toss night at home, who knows what can happen. And again, you win these 3 games, I'm assuming you're probably in that 6th seed. Probably. So,
and just to think about how if you take care of business on Friday night against Hartford, and then you use the momentum and the energy in the building to maybe pick off Providence Saturday night, all of a sudden you're going in Sunday with your head high,
100%,
and them questioning themselves. And so that to me is really where the importance, like you mentioned, of the Friday night game, but even going into that Saturday game, because Providence is absolutely rolling right now. But if you can pick them off on Saturday night, that's going to change the whole momentum for Sunday.
Yes.
I will say I would like to see a little bit more this week. The guy I'm going to be focused on is Jakob Stützle. I found that he was stuck on the 4th line with Kessie and Sam Stang. And I don't know where else he goes. Like, he's a third. I'd put him on my second, third line center, but you look at what's ahead of him and you're like, oh, well, it's Hugh McGing. Like, you're not going to take Hugh McGing, Matthew Pekka's spot, like Stenberg. Like, where do you put him? So I would love to get him I like to get him out there more. I want him killing penalties. I want him on the power play. I want him more involved. And I'm not necessarily blaming the player or the organization. Maybe it's a little bit of both. I need more performance from him, and I want the team to sort of put him in more of a position to play and get more playing time. So I'm going to have my eye on Stützle this weekend.
That's fair. And I talked about this player earlier, Otto Stenberg, looking for him to step up. And you bringing up Stützle, let me pose this question to you. And I don't mean this as a slight to this player. I am very high on this player, and I think the success of this team is to a lot extent dependent on how this player plays and leads. What are your thoughts on dropping a Matthew Pekka into that bottom 6 kind of thing to give these young guys opportunities to put up or shut up, so to speak? And as a leader, You're not going to take Pekka off the special teams. He's going to play all over the place. He's going to kill penalties. He's still going to get his ice time, but in that 5-on-5 spot, maybe sending him down a line or two and giving these young guys the opportunity to sharpen their game against more consistent opponents.
I think especially in a 3-3, it's a great time to just limit his minutes a little bit, reel him in a little bit. The problem is I think that him and Luff play so well together that it's not like you want to just keep, I want Luff on the top line, but I'm going to drop Pekka. Okay, well, there goes that chemistry. So I almost feel like you have to kind of keep those two together as best you can. And so how do you navigate? You don't want to drop them both down the third, fourth line. So maybe it's not about dropping and changing combinations as much as it is, give the third and the fourth line a couple extra shifts on a Saturday of a 3-3, A, to see what they got, and B, just to give guys like Pekka and Luff a breather, so but that's an interesting perspective. Wagner was so freaking good the last 3 games, especially in the faceoff dot. He had a was it the Friday game where Bridgeport had 2 faceoff violations and got a penalty.
Yeah, that was odd.
I've never seen that in my life. And of course, Wagner's the first one pointing to the box. Go. Yeah, that's a penalty. Yeah. I didn't know the rules. He did. So tip of the hat to him for knowing that. So he's been great too on the dot. So yeah, maybe everybody can shift up a little bit. I don't know. We'll see, but it's fun. Hockey's fun again.
Yeah.
That's what I texted
you. Have
hockey's back. We have a season.
Do you have a slot? We got like a minute left here. Do you have a slot penciled in for where you would expect Akil Thomas to play this weekend?
I mean, I would want him getting his feet wet. I would kind of throw him right in there. So I would look to put him with Pekka, somehow with Pekka and Luff.
Yeah.
And, there's no sense in having him play with a 20, 21, 22-year-old kids and that's not his job. His job is to come in at age 25, looking to resurrect his young career, looking to make the jump to St. Louis, put him with the big dogs, see what happens.
What was the dominant line last year? Pekka, Luff, Nikki. Right. So I kind of had that same thinking too. Hey, you're trading player for player. Let's see what a player who's grinding 100% all the time. Because that's what Pekka and Luff are doing. Right. That's what they're doing. So I actually had that thought too.
Yeah.
Hey, let's put him up there. Now I know Akil Thomas, again, he plays a little bit more center than Nikki does, but I like that. I like that pairing.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what the lines look like in a couple days. We appreciate everybody that has tuned in and voted and given us feedback and gotten involved in the show. Thank you. Please keep it coming. We do really appreciate it. We want to thank our friends at the TDS Center for Communication and Social Learning, tdsspeech.com, our friends at MassCon United Training Center, mcutrainingcenter.com, and by our friends at Landscaping That Fits. Go to landscapingthatfits.com. Use the promo code SRG20 for 20% off your fertilization for the year 2026. Great job to the Thunderbirds. Hockey Fights Cancer Night. You guys crushed it once again. Mayor Sarno with some really awesome words. That was a really special moment there in the building. It always is an emotional night. And you guys are such great supporters. So thank you for that. And nice job as always to the team. They crushed it.
Yeah. Thank you to the fans. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you for voting for our first matchup. Don't forget, check out the poll. Again, at Dryden Hunt, your number 3 seed against Mackenzie McEachern, your number 6 seed. So look for the polls after you listen, after you follow all of our pages, right? Like and follow, subscribe to the show. After you listen, make sure you go and vote. Big 3-3 this weekend. Have fun at the Teddy Bear Toss. Get there early to get your adult jersey. Hey, let's get some points, TBirds. Let's go.